The next question, Ron, let's start with you. The city recently borrowed money to pay for a water project and are paying 2.5% interest on the loan. There are also other outstanding loans. The city does have the funds to pay off those loans immediately. Do you feel it would be in the best interest of the city to pay off those loans now?
That's a good question. There is monies that are available that are set aside, I guess you could say rainy day fund, that if we needed to, we could pay the bond off because of the interest rate of the bond, 2.5%, that we are able to pay for the length of, for the bond that we have. It's more advantageous for the city to go ahead and keep paying and keep our reserve, because we never know what may come up there. We may have to dip in and take care of some needed items. So I would say no, that I would not be in favor of paying those bonds off, using our rainy day fund to take care of that. We have had the instance of the flooding that we've had up here, and have gone through the FEMA program, FEMA situations as to assistance there, and not real pleased with the way that works. And if we had to use our rainy day funds, it would put the city in real jeopardy to meet all of our obligations.
A couple of years back, we had an interest rate on the loan that was much higher. We did pay that one off because of that high interest rate. The low interest rates, and it's such that I'm going to parrot a lot of what Ron said there, the fact that we want to keep that flexibility of having that rainy day fund available for emergencies in case of the need of the city. And so paying that bond off immediately is not a priority. We're making steady progress on these bonds. We'll continue to meet those obligations and pay them off as quickly as possible without draining that fund. And I support that entirely because of the fact it's good to have some money in reserve. We don't know what disaster or emergency might befall the city, and we'd be very glad to have a ready source of cash to take care of that. And so, as mentioned, dealing with the FEMA situation, that's a 2 or 3 year wait if you ever need any funding from them. And so we want to maintain the flexibility of having some cash on hand.
I certainly believe it's important that we maintain a reserve for any kind of a catastrophic or a natural disaster that would affect our city infrastructure. I think a good example would be that several miles of transmission line that serves our power substation out near the rodeo grounds that connects out to the old silver mine. That's about a 40-year-old line, and I worry about its reliability. Were there a natural disaster of some sort, we need to get that in service quickly and instantly. And I think the city needs to maintain some reserve. However, I think we need to be good stewards of our money, and if we can retire interest-bearing bonds with the money that we have that's earning us less than 0.5%, perhaps we should look at that. I guess I'm from the old school when I remember seeing interest rates in the 18 and 20%, and at that point a 2.5% loan wouldn't be frightening. So I think it's all relative to how clear your own crystal ball is as to what we're going to see for interest rates over the next 3, 5, and 10 years, as to whether or not it's financially feasible to retire that particular bond.
I may not be the best one to answer that question. I bought my home over here down the street. You know, the next month the market crashed. You know, if I'd waited a month, I would have been in a lot better shape. But in talking to what the fire chief and what the mayor talked about, that transmission line, I didn't know anything about it. You know, had no idea that we were taking care of a line going from here over to the mine. And he says, like, the mayor says it's 40 years old, and he's one of these days going to need to be replaced. Where's the money coming from? So, rainy day fund, I'd like to ask these guys maybe how much is in there. How much, you know, I don't know. The interesting question, is that possible to ask these guys that? How much is in that rainy day fund?
Substantial. I don't have that exactly.
My bank, it would be like $30, but what are we talking?
3.5 million.
Yeah. How much?
3.5 million.
Well, I don't, you know, My wife, I know what she would say, my wife's kept us out of debt our whole life, is pay it off, you know. If we get the money, pay it off, and then start paying on, you know, putting money away for other stuff. But if we can pay off something, get it paid off.
Let me just make one more comment to the amount of money that is in reserve. I hope you're watching the news, and I hope you're seeing the news of cities like Detroit and others take out bankruptcy, inability to meet their even basic common financial obligations. We do have a substantial amount of money in savings with the city, and when I took over, my goal was to be a good steward of that and not deplete it. We could run out and buy swimming pools and parks and the like. I hope the residents would like us to be a little bit more frugal, a little bit more conservative with that than we could be, and I applaud the council for the way they've dealt with their restraint and their frugal purchasing.